Okay, thank you, Mr. Garcia, and thank you, folks. Would the applicant like to address the concerns?
I'll try to consolidate things and be as succinct as possible. Larry Markin once again. First of all, just to clear the record up, we did hold two community meetings, two noticed community meetings on it was March 6th and March 27th, and we did consider the comments from the commission about holding another community meeting, and quite honestly, owing to the comments we were receiving at those two community meetings, we really did not see that a third community meeting would be beneficial from the standpoint of the product that we were proposing and the design that we were proposing. And so we basically took the comments that we got from the commission to heart, and we basically moved forward to make the changes that we did. And I think there was a comment about that we had increased the setbacks 5 feet. We increased the setbacks 10 to 13 feet on the lower buildings. The upper buildings are already substantially farther away from the property line. So we did increase all those setbacks along the bottom from 10 to as much as 13 feet, to where we are, code is 10 feet. The City of Marietta staff, when we met with them, asked us to bump those to 20. We did so. And pursuant to the last planning commission hearing, we bumped those up to 30 to 33 feet. So no unit is any closer than 30 feet at this point. So that was the reason why we did not seek to have another community meeting. And I monitored the comments that had been made by the residents at the various Marietta and Wildomar City Council meetings during public comment. And have monitored those, I think with the possible exception of the most recent Wildomar Council meeting. And we are aware of those comments, and we have seen those comments and obtained copies of those comments. And so we're fully aware of their ongoing concerns, which which have been stated again tonight. There was a comment made with regard to us meeting with the city council members. After the first presentation, right after the planning commission hearing, some of the residents did present during public comment to the City of Marietta. We were contacted. I was personally contacted by Rannon Lane requesting a meeting. He asked for that meeting to be coordinated with Ben Benoit, and we did so. It took probably about a month to do that between everyone's schedule. And we did, in addition to that, Councilman Kelly Ciarto, who sat in on our second community meeting from Marietta, participated in that meeting here at Marietta City Hall about 3 weeks ago, I'm going to say. And we had, unfortunately, Councilman Benoit was supposed to be there. He got tied up coming back from San Francisco on a flight and was delayed and couldn't make it. But Councilman Nick did sit in on that meeting at that time, and we basically went through the presentation that we presented tonight with regard to the 3D visuals. And we have made the Marietta staff aware of the past Planning Commission staff report, as we did Councilman Ciarto, but when that staff report came out back in April. So that is what took place. We did offer to meet with the Planning Commission here if they so desired. And we did, I believe, meet with most of you. And I think that was stated as the ex parte contact at the last meeting. I think that was very clear about who met with us. And it was merely a briefing to brief you on the project and the past two community meetings, which is something we typically do on just about every hearing in most instances. So nothing unusual about that. Going back to a lot of the comments were made about zoning. I think the key element here that's missing is the general plan has been the same on this property since November of 1989. The general plan has called for this to be 5 to 8 DU per acre since the SWAP plan was adopted in 1989. When the county adopted the new general plan in 2003, they reiterated that general plan designation of 5 to 8 DU per acre. When the roundtable plan was adopted just prior to incorporation in February, I believe it was 2008, more or less at the request of several citizens. That designation remained the same. It's been the same from at 5 to 8 DU per acre. That is a designation when Mr. Lowe looked at this project, that it was his understanding that that was the density range, not that it was rural residential, that it was 5 to 8 DU per acre. That is not high density. That is, there are 2 or 3 higher density designations that above that. We are 5 to 8. There's an 8 to 14, 8 to 14 to 20, and I think in another affordable housing designation of even above that. So we are not high density. We are not something that would generate the types of concerns relative to crime and that type of thing, where they would be very high density, designation.
Please, folks, listen to what he's saying.
We are.
And courtesy.
In addition to that, with regard to the road, since it's tied to the general plan as part of the circulation element, the original designation for Palomar to Washington to Diaz all the way down to Winchester from Clinton Keith was for basically a 6-lane road in the old swap plan. It had 2 25-foot, as referred to as transportation corridors on both sides, and I believe 134-foot road right-of-way designation. That was what was on the books from 1989 in the city of Marietta. And when they adopted their general plan, they made a determination to reorient that and shrink Washington down and boost Jefferson up. And that is what you see on the books today. That was a conscious decision of theirs. They did not want that larger road going through old Marietta, if you will. And subsequently, the city of Temecula took it off their general plan, and ultimately the county took it off the general plans in total. And basically the 2003 general plan that was adopted by the county basically reflected what the Marietta general plan circulation element was showing, which is the larger capacity road of Jefferson tying into Palomar. That's been on the books again since in Marietta since '94, and basically effectively for Wildomar since 2003. Again, reiterated and kept the same in the 2008 roundtable plan. And the city has made, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but it has made no changes to the circulation element, or very few changes to the land use element since the city incorporated. So the designations in the tie of Washington up with the intersection with Palomar, Jefferson, has been the same since that 1994, 2003, 2008 era series of plans. The design of that road is basically exactly patterned after the plan that was started by the county, that the city inherited and took over a few years ago, which is the capital improvement project to ultimately build, widen Palomar, and tie it into existing Jefferson, which is through our property. We are merely taking that design and incorporating it into our project. The same way with Washington, we have taken their design and incorporated it into our project. There is very little variability in that design as far as the road grades. It is dictated by design speeds, stopping distances, and that type of thing. So we did not create a new design. We are mirroring what the city is proposing for their capital improvement project. If we do nothing, that is the design that will be built at some point in the future by the city as part of the capital improvement project. So just to be clear, and the design to the north, and again, I think there was a change tonight that we would pay a fair share of the signal at Washington and Jefferson, and we're fine with our fair share of paying of that. The design of the roadway as it progresses to the north will be dictated during final engineering design by the Public Works Department. If they certainly feel that there's a problem with that drainage course that crosses just north of the map across the street, and where we tie in, I'm certain that we will be asked to make a transition to make that work safely when we go through plan check. I have no concerns about that, and I think that will very definitely be taken care of. We're effectively building about 3/4 of the road along our frontage where we have one side, and we're building the full road where we have frontage on both sides. So that's, again, there's nothing unusual about that. Alfredo, could you pull up the, it's probably about the middle of my package of slides. It shows the sort of 3D grading representation. It's the bigger one that's in your package, I think on page 14 or 16. But it's the digital representation. Now, go back toward the middle. Well, stop there, please. There we go. That's fine. This is how the site is graded. The red grades, if you will, tapering off into the yellow grades. The darker the red grade is, the more the cut that we are taking that knoll down there. And then if you look up in the east end of the site, we're taking the knoll down in that area too. So we're taking down this area adjacent to the properties to the south, in some places 20 or more feet. And you see the blue is sort of in the ravine, if you will, in the middle of the site. That is fill. We're basically taking that material and tying in the road and the driveway at the bottom, which is opposite the existing roadway going into the track map across the street from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That point's fixed. The point is fixed pretty well at the top of the hill as far as the spacing back from the intersection. And that road grade, and then if you go to the next slide, Fredo. If you look at in the notes in the top and the bottom, you can see the road grades. Those are the design road grades for the at the intersection of our main driveway with Jefferson and with Washington. And there is a dimension back from that there is a mandated slope that your Public Works Department mandates. And if you, as you see on the sort of left side of the slide, that is all cut through that knoll. Up at the right-hand side of the slide, that is all cut through that knoll. In the area in the center, where you see the driveway above the existing dashed land surface, that is fill. And pretty much those grades between those 2 points really cannot vary a tremendous amount in order to maintain ADA accessibility throughout the project. So the comment about, well, grade the site down to the same grades as the property to the south of us is not feasibly possible. It's not about economics, it's not about anything else, it's just not feasibly possible. No. With regard to what we've done is we've moved the buildings back in addition to that. And if you look at the cross sections on the sheets that I gave you, the larger scale version that's in your staff report too, the first 7 buildings are all basically that what we're building are being cut down. The first one is a basin, so it's obviously much lower, but the next 7 are all basically being cut down, and then the 2 at the top are also being cut down because they hit that little knoll section adjacent to Jefferson. And what we've done, and what we tried to do, and what we tried to do from the first committee meeting to the second and to the first planning commission until today is to basically come up with a building design by going to, number one, first and foremost, opaque windows and inoperable windows, and moving those windows up high enough on the wall to where you literally cannot look out them on the end windows. And then the ground floor windows will not be able to see past the green wall. The green wall is at our top of slope. So the representation by one of the presenters that the wall was somehow going to be down closer to their wall is not correct. Our wall will be at the same grade as our pad grades. So unless you would be 6'6" or better to peek over that wall, you will not be up from the ground floor and from the garages and from those entryways. You will not be able to see over that green wall. We added that wall. We initially had Tony walls to shield the headlights from the first committee meeting. They came back and said they wanted for a full wall, and that's what we decided to do at the second committee meeting to the first planning commission, to do a full wall, and then we basically turned it into a green wall, which we have an example of in your package, which shows what a green wall will look like. Basically, it will be covered by vines and shrubs, where you will not actually see it as a wall. What we've done with the second floor, and if there is a desire to do more, what we did with the digital representation, we looked out those first windows that look back and forth across the driveways from each other and back to back on the other side, is to see what the angled view out of those windows would be, and what they would see if they looked down on their neighbors. And pretty much that first window is just the way the buildings are oriented. first windows will be the ones that are susceptible to that, and that's why we have trees. Those trees are 13 to 15 feet in height at planting, a 36-inch box. They will grow to be about 20 to 25 to 35 feet. I'm told they're all evergreen trees, and so we feel that will adequately shield. If it's not, we can certainly come up with a staggered tree plan to better shield that and basically eliminate any view into those backyards. We have pretty well taken care of the vast majority, we think, at this time. And again, if there's a desire to better shield, we can certainly do that. But we feel that is something that was a design feature along with the windows that would maximize or minimize the visibility into these folks' backyards. Additionally, there were some questions and comments about traffic. We have our traffic engineer here tonight. We prepared a traffic impact analysis. Your staff reviewed that traffic impact analysis, and our project is fully mitigated. We're not leaving any impacts unmitigated. So we feel that those concerns have been addressed as part of this project. If somebody would like to share with us the appraiser data that they have obtained, we'll be more than happy to review that data and provide comments on it. We haven't seen it, so we can't comment on it, but we're happy to do so. Once again, this is a consistency zone change. We are bringing the zoning consistent with the general plan. RR is not consistent with the City of Wildomar general plan. It wouldn't even be consistent with the City of Marietta general plan to the south. So basically, the zoning is in most cities and a lot of cities, the zoning is done citywide as a consistency zoning for the city as a whole once a general plan is adopted. You haven't gotten to that stage yet. We are MHDR. And basically, if you look at the mapping in your staff report as you go to the east and toward the mixed-use development on what's referred to as the Oxman property, that is basically a town center area with higher density residential and mixed-use commercial uses. We're literally the step buffer transition going into the single-family residences to the south. So this is a consistency zone change. We think it is appropriate, and we would certainly request your approval of that zone change. Also, there was a comment about schools. Obviously, the state dictates to schools. We get to pay our school fees, which are our mitigations for all of our impacts to elementary, middle school, and high schools. That's standard practice, which we will pay at the time of building permit issuance. Also, with regard to the map itself and what we have applied as far as the standards, if you look at your pages 14 and 16 on your staff report, in each one of the categories, as your staff has pointed out, we meet or exceed the standards of that zone designation. So from that standpoint, the track map that is before you is consistent with your development code. It is consistent with your general plan, and with the application of the consistency zoning will be consistent with your zoning as well. So I'm sure I possibly have missed something, but we feel we have brought a very well thought out project before you that's consistent with all these features. We certainly appreciate the comments from the neighbors, and we have taken them into consideration, and we have basically done a lot of work to provide mitigations for that view shed looking to our south. Again, as I think it's even been said, if there were single-family homes, there would probably be about, and the map that was in process before it was lost in foreclosure, there was probably 13 to 15 single-family homes that backed up to this same property line that had far closer setbacks, had probably roughly the same grades, because they would honor Jefferson and the existing cul-de-sacs out there. And so they would be having people in those single-family homes looking over their back fence or their back wall down into their property, if it was single-family homes as well. We don't, we feel, and with regard to responsibility, those owners would have the responsibility to one entity, which would be the Property Owners Association or Homeowner Association for this condominium project, as opposed to having to deal with individual property owners. So we We feel like we have mitigated the concerns. If there is additional concerns that the commission would like to see with regard to landscaping, we have our landscape architect here. He can certainly comment on the trees that are being placed. I think we did have a comment last time. We did bump everything up in that area from 24 to 36-inch box trees at planting, which gives us that 13 and 15-foot height. And that grow-in will typically be in about 5 years. They'll be up into the 25 to 35 foot height range. If there's other plantings that are the commission deem would be appropriate, we certainly love to hear your comments. So, and with that, I'll stand down and answer any questions the commission may have. And we have our entire team here to answer questions as well.
Commissioners, questions?
Do you have your traffic engineer give a brief discussion on what's expected with the traffic?
Yes. Shirley, did you come up?
Good evening, my name is Charlene Sell, I'm with Urban Crossroads, and we prepared the traffic study for the project. The proposed project currently proposes 163 dwelling units. We actually evaluated 164 condominiums. The AM peak hour total traffic is 72. That would be a peak 1 hour period between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. We also evaluated PM peak hour, 85. So some 1 peak hour period between 4 and 6. And then because of the proximity of the church, we were also specifically asked to evaluate Sunday, consistent with the peak times of the adjacent church. So during Sunday, we have 34 peak hour trips. Again, like Mr. Markham had indicated, all of the impacts are mitigated, so there were no significant impacts that were non-mitigable.
On your peak hour trips, is that per driveway or per the site?
It's for the project as a total.
So it'd actually be like half of that per driveway.
Right, exactly. Did you have any other questions?
Commissioners, any other questions of the consultant? Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Okay,